Hey class, it's Mr. Bliss, and we are back, and we're starting World War One. And this looks weird, but something with the conversion from PowerPoint to Keynote made this background look all messed up. But it looks really cool. It says World War One. Anyway, today we're gonna do the setup of why this whole thing broke out, and also I got a good video for you after that about a crazy guy with a machine gun. Opening question: should you always support your best friend no matter what she does? So think about it. No matter what she does. Let's say you go to the mall and someone starts picking on your friend. Do you get to her side and defend her? You probably should. Okay, what if your best friend at the mall starts bullying some random person? Okay, think about that one. That's the setup for World War One, essentially. Save Serbia, our ally. We're going to see that a lot of this stuff breaks out because of Serbia, and they are allied with the Russians. And I want you to keep this something called it's like a domino effect. Well, we'll get to that later. Okay, so from 1870 to 1914, Europe had been free from war, which, how many years is that? 30 plus 14? Almost 50 years? That's like unbelievable. Because as you know, in European history, someone's always fighting someone else. So there was a pretty good period of peace after Napoleon was defeated. And of course, then we have imperialism, which we just finished up, where the Europeans are now in in Africa and Asia, taking over countries. So anyway, 1914, it's going to all come to an end. So turn of the 20th century, there's a couple things, and these are some of the causes of World War One. So nationalism, we talked about that already. That is growing. Every country wants to be the best. We're the best at this. We're the best at that. We have the best military. We have the best colonies. We have the best economy. And then there's an independence movement in the Balkans, and I'll show a map of that. But that's the area. Basically, it's north of Greece, and around 1900. A lot of those countries had rebelled against the Ottoman Empire, who, again, they're still around at this time. And although they're called the sick old man of Europe, it's like, they're like, whatever. So a lot of these countries get their independence from the Ottomans, but some are still ruled by the Austro-Hungarian Empire, which is controlled by the Habsburgs. Militarism. Okay, so with the imperialists, the scramble for colonies in Africa and Asia, the countries of Europe are really investing heavily in who can have the best military technology. What is that picture on the top right? It's a video. Oh, we watched this guy before. Remember, he shot the arrow into the watermelon, and then there was one about the katana sword against the long sword. Yeah, so now he's got some machine guns from the late 1800s. And this video is about a machine gun called the Devil's Paintbrush, which is, we're going to see machine guns completely change warfare. Because let's think about the previous wars, the type of guns that people had. The average soldier would have a rifle or a musket, shoot it, then have to reload it, and it takes some time. A machine gun, you put your finger on the trigger, and it doesn't stop shooting until you let go or until it runs out of bullets. So what we're going to see in World War One is that they're still using old school techniques. So, marching your army forward and stuff like that. And then, the whole unit can be taken out by like one machine gunner. So we're going to get more into the warfare aspect of it, but that's what, let's see, how do I put this? The European countries had been building up their military capabilities for a very long time, and now they finally have a time to test them out. But they're still using very old ways of military techniques. Stuff that would work for Napoleon is not going to work during World War One because Napoleon didn't have to go against machine guns. Okay, so anyway, this is what we call an arms race. The countries want to outdo each other with the military stuff. And militarism is, everyone wants we're the best. We're going to always have an army ready. It's called a standing army, and we're just going to pump a lot of money into our military and keep building it up. Okay. The entire able-bodied population are preparing to massacre one another, though no one, it is true, wants to attack, and everyone protests his love of peace and determination to maintain it, yet the whole world feels like it only requires some unforeseen incident, some unpreventable accident for the spark to fall in a flash and blow all Europe sky high. And that's exactly what's going to happen. It's like everyone's ready for, like, they're saying they love peace, but everyone's building up for a war. It just takes one spark to make the whole thing blow up, and that spark is going to be an assassination in 1914 in Sarajevo. How was peace kept in Europe through this time? Well, there was all these different alliances. So, in this form of alliance, whoever your ally is, right? Remember, I went back to that question. If you are, should you always support your best friend no matter what? If someone attacks your ally, then you attack the attacker. An attack on one is an attack on all. And the way they had it set up was actually pretty good. And it was from this guy, Otto von Bismarck, kind of engineered it. He was a Prussian. He unifies Germany into an actual country. For the first time in, 1870, Germany is a legit country. No Holy Roman Empire anymore, no all these divided kingdoms and stuff. And so he sets up this complex alliance system, and he also influences it in in other countries. So the Triple Alliance, we have Germany, Austria, and Italy. They're united to prevent any kind of French invasion, and Germany also allies with Russia. So if Germany gets attacked from the west, that's probably not going to happen because Austria, Hungary, and Italy would attack France too, and they ally with Russia, so Russia won't attack them from the east. And with this system in place, it was pretty good. No one could really start a war because they didn't think it, and no one thought they could win one. Then Kaiser Wilhelm, and this is not the last we're going to hear of him. He messes the whole thing up. He forced Otto von Bismarck to resign, and so Kaiser goes back to the Latin term Caesar. It's just, if you look at it, it's just spelled differently. I think we said the same thing when we talked about the Russian czars. Same thing. So when Kaiser Wilhelm takes control of Germany, he completely lets the Russian alliance fall apart, and then Russia allies with France, and Germany's stuck in the middle of two countries allied with each other. Not a good place to be. The Triple Entente. So yeah, Kaiser Wilhelm, he really starts building up the German Navy, which challenges the British, who had, traditionally for hundreds of years the most powerful navy in the world. And so the British are like, oh, we better get an alliance too in case Germany does something. So we'll join this new alliance that France and Russia had, and this is called the Triple Entente. And I believe Entente is French for understanding. It looks like Spanish, entender. So I'm going to say the Triple Understanding, which is a nice name for an alliance. So, as we have it here, 1907, 7 years before World War I. Germany, Austria, Hungary, and Italy. And then France, Russia, and Britain. And who's going to... But, yeah. So this is as it is. And when I mentioned the Balkans, this is where the Balkans are. And I lost my iPad pen, so I'm not going to do circles and stuff. But you can see the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and this is ruled by the Habsburg family. And the countries below it, like Serbia, Albania, Bulgaria, Macedonia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, that's what we call the Balkans. And the Ottoman Empire is on the bottom, still around. Russia is bigger, much bigger than it is today. And if we look at let's see if this will work actually. Whoops. Oh, come on. Okay, I don't know how to get I can't circle anything. But those lines, the orange diagonal lines, are Slavic, where Slavic people lived. We've talked about ethnicity versus country before. And so if we look to see where the people of Slavic ethnicity live, There's some in the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Bosnia, but the Balkans, for the most part, not all of it, are people of Slavic ethnicity. And who else has Slavic ethnicity? Russia, basically all of it. So keep that stuff in mind, because people of similar ethnicities would be more likely to team up with each other. So I think you can see where this is going. If something breaks out and one of the Balkan countries gets attacked, Russia is going to join their side. And remember, if someone attacks Russia, hold on a second, then France and Britain have to join in. And if one of those countries that attacks the Balkans or Russia happens to be Germany, Austria, Hungary, or Italy, then all of them are joined in. And this is how when the guy says there's a powder keg about to explode, this is what he's talking about. So in the Balkans, so we said what they are. We talked about how by 1900 many had gotten their independence from the Ottomans, and the largest ethnic group was the Slavs, or the Slavic people. Stop. No. Oh. Ham sandwich? No, not yet. Okay. Okay. So Russians, also being a Slavic people, again, had tendencies to kind of root for Slavic independence in the Balkans. And Austria-Hungary, or Austro-Hungarian, I'm going to say it a bunch of different ways, they take over a bunch of Slavic countries, or they take over Bosnia and Herzegovina, which are next to Serbia. So if we go back, so if we see that city of Sarajevo, Austro-Hungarian Empire expands into that area in 1907. And that's next to Serbia, and again, the people are similar ethnicity. Serbia wants to extend its borders and take the Slavic areas of Austria-Hungary. Austria-Hungary kind of like laughs at them in the face, because Austria-Hungary is an empire and Serbia is just this little country that's only been independent for like 10 years. But the Archduke Franz Ferdinand, who was second, if the emperor died, he was going to be the emperor. He was actually down in, I cannot speak today. He was for this. He thought that the Slavic peoples in the southern portion of the empire should have more independence, and he was willing to listen. Here he is. And then he makes a trip to Sarajevo, which was on that map, which was in the recently conquered territories. And this leads us to an event that will change the world forever. And when I say forever, this event starts World War I. World War I, they called it the war to end all wars. All it did was put the processes in motion for World War II to start. World War II, more people died in that than in any other conflict in human history. You can trace it all back to this gunshot. Now, gave a spoiler alert about what happened to this event in 1914. Now, does this mean that if this event didn't happen on June 28th, something else wouldn't have set this powder keg off? No. World War I probably would have happened no matter what, but this is just what happened to cause it. That's where I'm going to end the video here. Hope you enjoyed.